Showtime.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
And we are live. Hello, Facebook, Twitter, or not Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and
X.
Well, X doesn't do it anymore. You have to subscribe to their service.
Oh,
so, yeah, they don't take live stuff anymore. They're not allowing it. So there you go.
Yeah. Thank you, Elon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well.
That's the way it goes. So, show is going to start soon here.
Oh, did you listen to the 1st and 15th?
Not yet. I need to check it out. The support group one.
Yeah, that's when we were all on there. Yeah, that was the group one.
Yep, I'll need to check it
out.
That
was fun. Yeah.
I had it on the program Saturday, and then I forgot to.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4,
I forgot to listen.
3, 2, 1.
Boop.
Only 1 second.
Radio.
This is All About Wine, the talk show dedicated to the wine industry since 2009. Featuring winemaker, cellar master, vineyardist, and tasting expert, Ron.
Basically what we're trying to do on this program is just trying to educate people and trying to make wine less confusing and more friendly.
From coast to coast and around the world.
We really have had some neat people on the program. I love that.
Post your questions and comments during the live show on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. Again, that's www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. And now, All About Wine is on. Here's Ron.
All right. We're back from last week, and people are excited.
Yes, they are.
Probably excited for our guests more than anything. We missed last week because of Halloween. I couldn't do the show because Halloween's always a pretty big deal. We have everybody over, so we didn't do it. But we are back, and all exciting things have happened. We've had elections going on in the country, and we've had a couple exciting football games that I watched, the Chiefs and the Bucks, and that was fun. And now we're settling back into the grind, getting ready for, being in the stores. You can't tell if it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, but Thanksgiving is our next holiday coming up here. Actually, our next holiday is Monday, which is Veterans Day. So if you know a veteran, thank them for their service. And if you are a veteran, there's lots of freebies out there that different places give for veterans, meals and haircuts and car washes and all sorts of things. So check out that if you're a veteran. And again, if you're not, then thank a veteran. They appreciate it. I appreciate it. So we have a guest tonight. She's waiting in our green room, waiting for us to call her away. It is Kristen is her name. Kristen Schroyer, I believe it's pronounced. She's a social. I'll tell you what. Before I start telling you all about her, she's sitting in the green room. I think she's got everything out of her mouth now and put all the food down and all that, and we'll bring her on to the show. So, welcome to All About Wine, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me, Ron. I appreciate it. And thank you for saying thank you to all the veterans, too. My husband's a veteran, so thank you so much for that.
Yeah. What branch?
Army.
Army? What year, if you recall?
So he joined the Guard it was about 2001, and then he did a deployment to Iraq in 2003. He was there for about a year. So he total years spent. He was in the Guard and the Army. Probably is total around 6 or 7 years.
Fantastic. Well,
yeah.
Thank him for his service. I was in the Army also. That's why I was curious. So.
Oh, you were? Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad you know
much.
about all the freebies out there, too, because there is a lot.
There is a lot. There are a whole stack of things. So any veterans that listen to it, check them out. There are a lot of good stuff out there that, for veterans. It's a shame that they do one day for it, but some of the freebies out there, they'll stretch out throughout the weekend. They do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So, there's
a lot of companies that give veteran discounts throughout the year too, which is great. Like Dick's Sporting Goods, that's a great one. All throughout the year, I feel like we're there all the time with our kids in sports. So, thank you to all the companies that give veteran discounts as well.
Lowe's, Home Depot, you've got 10% on anything there, and plus a lot of. So you're right. There's a lot of them out there. So any veterans, check those things out. If you're not using them, then do. It's a nice little thank you all the time for us. So, thanks for being on the show with us. We do appreciate it. It is our pleasure, I think. You heard me start to tell people about you. I'm not going to tell people about you. I'll let you tell people about you. Where did you get your wine knowledge? Everything. Fill us in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm one of the co-founders of One Hope. We are a Napa Valley winery, and we've been around for about 17, almost 18 years. And a lot of people know us because we give back with every single purchase made. We've always been a cause-driven brand. That's been our North Star ever since we started. So I got into wine. I was always kind of fascinated by it growing up because my parents were really into it, but they weren't into super fancy wines or anything. But I just remember going, to visit Napa and, just different places on trips as a kid and going on all the tours and stuff. And being a kid, some of the tours got a little bit boring for me, to be honest. But
where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, Scottsdale's grown quite a bit in my lifetime, but I'm a fourth generation Arizona native. So my dad's side of the family's been out in Arizona for a very long time. And even when I was a young kid, my neighbors had horses and would ride them to the grocery store. And all of that has changed quite a bit as Arizona has gotten even more and more populated. But yeah, that's where I was born and raised. But we would always make trips there, or Temecula, Central Coast of California. My parents always loved wine. And so I think that really, although I didn't know it at the time, I think that really kind of stuck with me a little bit. I started working in restaurants all throughout high school, as I think every kid must do, and I'll make sure my kids do that as well. And I worked at a Hillstone restaurant called Houston's. So if anyone's eaten at a Houston's restaurant, phenomenal restaurants. I loved it so much, and I was a greeter there. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to work in restaurant management. But then I would see my manager at the restaurant so stressed all the time and working crazy hours. And then one day, you know exactly how that is. Yeah. So one day I saw a wine rep come in with her wine bag and sit at the largest table at the restaurant and just sit there and sample wines. And then, I thought, wow, that looks like a pretty fun job. And then she left with her wine bag, and then the restaurant got crazy busy. So it was kind of that. I thought that seems really interesting. So when I went to University of Arizona in Tucson, and as a freshman, they had a career fair there mostly for the seniors that are graduating. But I marched in there as a freshman, determined to meet Gallo Wine Company because I saw they were on the list of one of 60 companies that were going to be there. And so I marched up to the table. I had my resume ready as a freshman, and I think I really impressed the hiring manager. But then he found out I was only 18 and I was a freshman, and he's like, "Well, wait till you're 21 and you can actually work for us. So let's keep in touch." And so every time there'd be a career fair and Gallo would come back, I'd meet with the team there. So I very naturally got a job to work for them. Actually, the summer before I graduated, the summer before my senior year, I did an internship with Gallo, and they didn't offer internships at the time, but I just kind of was that very, ambitious kid. I said, well, let's create one. So I was essentially a merchandiser for a sales rep in Orange County, and then when I graduated college, I started with a job with them as a sales rep, calling on Ralph's grocery stores in southern Orange County area, and that was kind of how I got into wine. A very long story about it, but that was it. Started, I think, as a kid, going into restaurants and realizing I could still work in restaurants or, step foot in restaurants and be a part of the industry without necessarily having to work till 2 a.m. and over a hot stove and all the bit.
Right. Clean up everything. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, well, fantastic. So, how long did you work for Gallo then doing that?
Yeah, so I was with Gallo. I was a sales rep for Gallo, and I know many people in the industry have started with Gallo too. They're an awesome company, and so I was a sales rep. Enormous, yes. And I was a sales rep for them in Southern Orange County for a little less than a year, and then I got promoted to work up in their tasting rooms in Napa and Sonoma. So I was doing, consumer and trade tours and tastings at the Louis Martini tasting room, which is right there in St. Helena. And then at the time, Gallo had a tasting room in Healdsburg Square, Gallo Family Vineyard, so I worked there as well. And but I should kind of rewind a little bit. My very first day on the job at Gallo, it was a training that we all had to do in LA. And I met what I didn't know at the time would be my future partner at One Hope and our CEO, Jay Cloberdance. He was in the same very small starting cohort of about 7 or 8 kids that had just graduated and were starting their sales training with Gallo. And so I had met him, and then I met a couple other people that we all got to be really close friends because, anyone that's worked for Gallo, they'll admit to this. It's kind of a crazy job because sometimes you start even as early as 2 or 3 in the morning because you're, before people. Yes, because they, all the wine gets sent to the grocery store super early, and you need to show up early before all the customers come and build the displays, or that's when the liquor manager's there to kind of, get their ear and pitch if you want a side stack in the deli department or a big display in the front lobby and whatnot. So we started really, really early in the morning. Wow. And because of that, we were done around 2 p.m. And so when you're just out of college, you're 22, and you're done at 2 p.m. What do? You go to meet up at the bar, right? And so all of us would just go meet up at Yard House, and we all got to be really close friends. But it was that first October that we were selling wine with Gallo in grocery stores. This would have been October 2005. We noticed a lot of things in the grocery store were giving back to breast cancer research and awareness. And, they were putting pink ribbon on their products. Sometimes they were teaming up with a big organization like Susan G. Komen. And here we were selling wine in the grocery stores. But the one thing when you sell wine in grocery stores is you kind of have to help a lot of the other department heads. So that way, if you want to build a wine display in their department, they'll let you. So we weren't just, helping stock shelves in the wine aisle. We were helping stock the cans of soup. We were helping stock the dairy department and all that too. And it was interesting because as we're stocking these cans of soup to the shelf to help out that department head, we noticed, wow, these Campbell soup cans that have the pink ribbon on them, these are selling 4 times as much as these other cans of soup. And then when you turn it and you're reading more about these brands that are giving back, you're like, okay, well, that's great that they're giving back, but how come they're not specifically stating what they're donating? Or some of them were donating and they're saying we're donating up to $20,000 when it's, a really large company that could probably be donating $20 million. But then a big aha for us too was at the end of the month, then everything went away and it was back to business as usual. And then, here we were selling wine and there was no wine at the time that was giving back to this cause. And so at happy hour at, 22, 23 years old, we were all just talking about it. And it was Jake, our CEO, that said, you guys, wouldn't it be such a great idea to have a wine brand that gives back and not just give back during 1 month to one cause, but give back year round and not have any caps on what they're donated. And we were like, yeah, that'd be such a great idea. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have great ideas, especially over happy hour. And when most people have a good idea, yeah, exactly. Most people don't do anything about it. And at that time, I didn't think we ever would. And it was, then I moved up to Napa, Sonoma. I worked those jobs, as I mentioned. And one day I got a call from Jake and he said, hey, Kristen, remember that company we always talked about starting? Well, I have a close friend from high school. She's only 23. She was just diagnosed with blood cancer. And you know what? I decided I'm going to do this. Are you in? Jake said his parents took out a second mortgage on their home to help finance our first round of cases. Found a small little custom crush facility in Sonoma County that would make the wine for us. And already had some homemade labels ready to go. And at that time for me, I was, not married, no kids, no mortgage. Talked to my parents about it. My parents are like, you got to do this, Kristen. And so I quit my job, moved back down to Southern California, and teamed up with, there was 8 of us initially that were a part of it. And we had these 168 cases that Jake's parents had helped us finance, that we drove down in a U-Haul from Sonoma County down to Orange County, and we just were literally started to sell wine out of the backs of our cars, which goes to show you how naive we were, because we didn't even know that you needed a licensed distributor to sell your stuff. So here if you could just imagine a young kid with a homemade label walking into a nice steakhouse. And if sometimes, and I will say the wine has always been good, and we can kind of go into how our wine making has evolved and gotten so phenomenal. But even in those early days, the wine was pretty good. It was just like a homemade label. So if we did make the sale, the buyer at the restaurant would be like, okay, great. So who's your distributor? I'm like, oh no, I've got it. I'm just going to go get it and back my Honda. Yeah. You write me a check and I will. And they're like, no, that's not how it works. So, we quickly realized that, okay, we need a licensed distributor, and that's hard to get too, because distributors won't pick you up until you have guaranteed sold accounts, and then sold accounts won't pick you up if you don't have a distributor. So it's this kind of hard walk you have to walk. Yes, for sure. But we finally found a small distributor that picked us up, and so we thought, oh my gosh, this is it. We got a distributor, we've made it, and we got our first month's depletions back, which I think it was in November. So we thought, oh, this is going to be great. It's the holidays. And in the entire state of California, I think we sold 7 or 8 cases. So we quickly realized, okay, well, we can't just rely on the distributor to sell us. We have to go out there and do a lot of the selling. And so that's what we did. I mean, just literally wheeling wine bags all over town. And then once we opened up Arizona distribution, it was the first state outside of California. That's when I moved back to Arizona, because we needed somebody out there in the market, and my parents live there. And when you're starting a company and you're living in Orange County and you're 23 years old and you're not getting a paycheck, that starts to add up real quick. So I moved back to Arizona, moved in with my parents, which is like the best thing I ever did. I had so much more of a respect for everything that my parents did for me, and I lived with them for about a year. And and then we just started kind of growing distribution here and there, living on airplanes, begging distributors to give us a chance. We would get some like regional programs with restaurants, and we didn't even have distribution in the state, so scrambling to try to figure that out. But the world of wine distribution is pretty crazy. But we started with 3 wines. We had a Chardonnay that benefited breast cancer research. We had a Merlot going towards AIDS research, and then a Cabernet to support children with autism. And those were our three SKUs as we first started, and then we started to add more varietals, giving to different causes. I think next up we had a Sauvignon Blanc to benefit the environment, a Zinfandel to support our troops. We kept adding more and more, and then we found that as we were giving back to so many causes, it was like really hard, especially in 3-tier distribution, to get sales reps to remember our brand and stuff. So we've kind of evolved our giving as we've got, over the years. We went from supporting 3 causes to like 7 or 8 causes to now what's really cool is when wines are sold in restaurants and hotels, we give locally to food banks in that area. Then what's super cool in the world of direct-to-consumer wine shipping and with technology and everything is now whenever somebody buys a wine at onehopewine.com, they can select any nonprofit that they want to support. We have the whole database provided from the IRS for 501c3s. So any nonprofit, whether it's your kids' PTO program or like a big national amazing nonprofit or global nonprofit like Charity Water, everything in between, we give 10% back of every purchase to causes that are chosen by the customer. And so to date, we've donated now over $11 million, and we've supported over 50,000 unique nonprofits, which is so cool. And what I love about it, even going back to like what initially kind of inspired us to now, and oh my gosh, even going at the day after a crazy election, is like, I just think wine is this powerful product that really brings people together. And, think about all the Thanksgiving dinner tables and the, awkward relatives you don't want to have a conversation with, or everything like that. Wine is just such a really powerful product. It brings people together. And so it's really not even about, the donations are great, don't get me wrong, but I wish that we could quantify just the amount of really good conversations that people have had over a glass of our wine, and people have shared causes that matter most to them, and the changes they want to make in the world and how they want to make the world a better place. So we always say it's all about the wine, and it's not even about the wine, because it's just about the good that kind of comes from sharing a bottle of One Hope together.
Do you think that donating to these charities and stuff helps sell the wine? I think
so, for sure. Yeah, because people, I think people really enjoy that it's, first of all, people love that it's giving back. And we have a lot of customers that are, when you select a nonprofit to support, we have a lot of them that say, I don't know what I want to support, but just give back and continue to do the good that you're doing. So we've done through that, because we have our own foundation. That's where it goes when people select that. And so through our own foundation, we've built 6 schools in the developing world. Just this holiday season, we want to give $3 million in school supplies to local schools in the U.S., because everybody that knows a teachers will say that they spend so much money out of their own pocket to bring supplies to schools, because they don't get enough funding for it, or there's kids that always arrive that don't have the money for it. So, to go back to answer your question, I think our wine is amazing, and we always, do competitive analysis and all that, and you taste it next to wines in similar price points in, regions and everything. Our wine is excellent. I think people will buy it just because of the quality too, but of course there's that extra give back that makes us really special, and the fact that it's giving back to something that really matters most to them. I think people definitely love to buy it because of that.
You mentioned your original charities you gave to. Do you still do those as a central point, or have those just been added to the list?
Yeah, so we still love supporting those charities, and if you look over time, like we've given over $800,000 to breast cancer research alone. Those have been some really big, pivotal or important causes that we like to support. It's interesting, even talking about autism. I remember when we first started in 2007, we had, if you find like our old label, it had a puzzle piece ribbon on it. Everybody knew what the pink ribbon stood for, but nobody knew about the puzzle piece ribbon. And so it's been really interesting to see autism, the awareness for it grow, just the acceptance of it, learning how people can employ people with autism, everything. That's been like just me personally, one of those fascinating causes that has gotten so much support as it deserves. And we were kind of just so proud to be able to support it in those early days too. We always got the question, I love that you're supporting this. How can I support this cause that matters most to me? So it is really neat that we've been able to evolve to support the customer's cause of choice, because if anyone remembers, there was a program even on Amazon called Amazon Smile, where you could set a charity that you love to support, and a portion of your purchase, qualified purchase, it didn't even apply to everything, would go back to that. And that program was really successful, and people really liked it. And these nonprofits, you think of how much money people spend on Amazon, these nonprofits really relied on, even though it was a small percentage, that all really added up. And that program went away. So I would say we're kind of like the Amazon Smile of wine, but what's cool is that 10% number is 20 times as more impactful than Amazon Smile Give Back was. So, that 10%, it adds up. And for some of these really small nonprofits, we ask these nonprofits to do nothing in return for us. They just magically get these checks that get sent out to them. And some checks are for $26 and some are for $2,600. It just kind of depends how many times people select them with their purchase.
Yeah, and I have to tell you a little story. When I had the winery here, closed down back in 2019, but when I had the winery, I started a program where we had a tip jar, because people like to tip, but each month I would choose a different charity that all the tips would go to, and I would promote it, throughout the month and say, this is, and I'd find out and read up on it. And I'd ask people for suggestions for tips. And we got some really great suggestions that I would never consider and all that. But it was always the most fun for me is to write the check, and if they were local, most of them were, I would take the check and give it to them and explain to them that, it's a tip jar, and it was our customers' generosity that gave it to them. And it was, anywhere from, $50 up to, I don't know, $250 or something like that. But every charity, it's so amazing how a little bit of money can help them so much. And like you said, from 27 to 2,700, it's just every little bit makes a difference to these charities. So that's a great program you have there.
That's great that you did that too, Ron. And I'm sure they were so touched that they weren't even expecting it. And here you show up with that. And again, it wasn't even just the donation; it's all your customers wanting to do that and talking about it. And I'm sure it made them feel equally just as good that they were able to support it too.
Supported good cause on it, and then there was a big variety of different ones that we did over the years. It was, but different one each month and all that. So I want to jump back on something here. And speaking of, donating charity, Gallo, and if you remember or not, but Gallo had a program a number of years ago where if you had a Gallo product and you kept their cork and sent it in at the end of the year, they would donate so much per cork. I don't know how much it was. I can't remember now. Toward meals on senior Meals on Wheels to America. And the first year I did that, I gathered up. I told people at the winery, bring in a gallon corks. I sent something close to 1,000 corks to Gallo. And the next year, I called to see if they had the program, and they said they had so many corks that they received that they were doing it with just pictures. You take pictures of corks and send it in, and they would donate so much. And then I lost track of it. Now, and the reason I'm telling you, do you remember this program at Gallo, or have you heard of it?
Yes, I vaguely remember it, and it also makes me think of the the Yoplait lids. Remember the yogurt lids for Yoplait yogurt, and you would send in your pink lid, and kind of the same thing. But I'm sure it was very successful, but so successful that they're getting in all these lids, all these corks, and like you said, what do we even do with them? So, but it just goes to show you, people. I always say that in the world we live in, there's this microphone, and the bad people get the microphone most of the time, and there's so much good out there, and unfortunately they don't get as much time to shine. So just that program alone, that it was so successful, they got all these corks in, and they had to rethink the program. There's a lot of people out there that want to do good, and sometimes they just need a little an inspiration to do it. So whether it's sending in a cork, buying a product that gives back, it's an easy way for them to do it, because not everybody thinks I need to take out my checkbook and mail a check to this organization, But if I can support these brands that give back and have that as at the DNA of what they do, it goes a long way.
Well, and also too, like I said, we used to choose a different charity every month, and some of these I never heard of, and people would come in, I could explain it to them and all that, and they never heard of it, but they thought it was a great idea. And just like your list, you have this list. I'm sure people start going through that list going, oh, wow, look at this. This is a great cause. And it's not something that would come to mind, but they see it there, and it, inspires them, I guess.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite things to do, because we get this incredible Excel spreadsheet of all of the checks that have been issued, and it's at this point, after so many years, and 50,000 plus Excel rows, it takes a long time for my computer to load. But it's really fun just to pick out some of these organizations. Sometimes it's it's an animal shelter that somebody's running out of their house, that they just rescue cats that are, about to be euthanized and find a home from them. It's everything like that. I always tell the story of this one because it touched me, because I played sports. My daughter's really into sports, and it's a nonprofit called Friends of Jacqueline, I believe it is. And it's such a unique concept where they team up sports teams, whether it be, a college sports team, high school sports team, pair them up with a child that's currently battling cancer, and they help cheer that child on, and the child cheers the team on, and it becomes this like beautiful form of teamwork. And it's like, the foundation was named in memory of a girl. And I don't know, just like concepts like that again, you don't even know that they're out there. And then sometimes you learn about them when you're having a glass of wine with a friend, if your friend's telling you, your neighbor's telling you about what cause they like to support. One of my favorite work with, anybody who's listening that does work with in our industry, where, you're a rep for a supplier rep, and you sit in the car all day with a distributor and they take you to certain accounts. And I was in the car with this one, I think it was in Colorado, and the distributor rep warned me, he's like, just so you know, the guy that I'm going to take you to is a big jerk. Like, he's probably not going to buy, but I have to see him. I have to take his order, but he's a jerk. Like, I'm just warning you. He may have said a different word than jerk, but you know where I'm going. So anyways, we go to meet this buyer, and he was kind of a jerk. And I told him about, our product and what we do. And then this buyer just totally opened up and he's like, my son was just recently diagnosed with autism. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to learn all about this, all these things. And it was just kind of this awesome moment that, people that, even the jerks out there that you think, I have nothing in common with them, you really do. And sometimes you just got to, talk to people and listen to them and get them to open up and stuff too. So I don't know, that's what I think what's great about any bottle of wine is if you can just share it with a loved one and have a great conversation and a great moment and put the phone down. And it's a special product.
That is without question. Without question. You mentioned 4 wines that you started with. Tell me about your wine portfolio now. What does One Hope make, and what do you sell?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started with those, and we've always had, our California wines. We started in California. We started to add a few more California wines to our portfolio. I think we had the Sauvignon Blanc and the Zin we added, and then sparkling was soon after that. And that was like kind of our core portfolio. I think we had a Pinot Noir in there too. At the time, that one gave back to pet adoption, so we nicknamed it our Pinot for Paws, which was cute. And that was our kind of core portfolio that we only just, we distributed through 3-tier distribution. We did have a website. We did kind of minimal direct-to-consumer sales, but when we first started, we could legally ship wine to 4 states, I think. And this was 2007, because, getting licensing and even states allowing wine shipments was pretty minimal at that time. And we noticed more and more states started to greenlight wine shipping, and so people were like finding our product, loving that they give back, and ordering it that way. And so as our distribution grew, we I think it was in 2000. Well, I guess before I get to that part of it, we were pouring wine at a trade show event with our distributor in Northern California, and a gentleman came up to our table. And I think everyone in the room kind of knew who he was. But again, we were naive. We were only 23, 24. We didn't know that much about the industry. This guy came up to our table, very intrigued about what we did. I'm sure he was like, wow, these kids could really use my help. And got his card at the end of the event, and it was Michael Mondavi. And so, that was a big stepping point for our brand, because having the Mondavi name and winemaking team to help us out was really big, because people always love that we are giving back, but especially seeing those like old labels, homemade labels at the time, people always question the quality of our wine, because we kind of got thrown into this like quote unquote charity wine bucket when we have really great wine. And so he definitely saw that we needed their help. And so Michael Mondavi and his son Rob Mondavi Jr. came on, and Rob was our lead winemaker for our wines, and they really helped us source some great wines. And we started to expand our portfolio a little bit, and doing some, I think we had a Reserve Russian River Pinot Noir that we added, And again, we didn't distribute all these, but we had them on our website, and we were doing a decent amount of business direct to consumer. And then it was in 2016, Jake, our CEO, I should mention Jake, he is one of the smartest people I've ever met. He is so ambitious. I'm like the more, like little like conservative in terms of like, I don't think we should spend money on this or that or whatever. Like he is such a dreamer. And if we didn't have him leading us with this vision, and he's just such a dreamer, he gave us a call. He's like, hey, there's a 10-acre property in right in Napa and Rutherford. I think we should buy it. And it's one of those laughing moments like, oh, that's funny. Like, how are we going to buy it? And he was able to, I think because we had the Mondavi name to support us, we have an incredible, generous group of investors that helped us get it. So I think it was, all the years are kind of blending together. I think it was 2015 or 2016. We bought a 10-acre property right off Highway 29 in the heart of Napa. So I know you've probably been to Napa many times. It's directly across the street from Cake Bread. So on the west side of the highway, right there. I mean, it's smack dab. It's such a gorgeous property. But there was a really small home in the property, 10 acres, about half of it planted with Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Vine. And we were somehow able to get this property. And over the course of, 3 years, built a beautiful home on the property that's all shared by our generous, incredible group of investors. And then we built a winery and tasting room just adjacent to it. And we opened our doors to that in August of 2020. So it's when talking about going back to your initial question about our portfolio, that's what's really changed our portfolio, is being able to have our own estate wines. We make estate Sauvignon Blanc. We also make some Fumé Blanc off of that Sauvignon Blanc, a little ode to the Mondavis there. We have some incredible estate Cabernet that we make there as well. We've even dabbled in some international wines, working with some international partners. So we have our Her Story collection with an Italian Primitivo, Rosato, Prosecco from there. So we have quite a big, if you go to our website, you'll notice we've got a pretty big portfolio. It's pretty much anchored, though, in California with a big presence, obviously, Napa. We have some, like, Central Coast wines. We have a really good Paso Robles cab. But, again, we wouldn't have been able to do that without the Mondavis and really helping us align us with these incredible growers and getting some great contracts to secure amazing fruit. And so, yeah, that's our portfolio. It's always changing.
You mentioned something there that caught my ear. You said you opened in August of 2020, middle of COVID year. You opened? Yes.
And I joke because our timing is not so great, Ron. We think about it. We launched One Hope in June 2007. If anyone remembers, September 2007 was right when the economy took a major nosedive. Yeah. So think about starting a company, then trying to sell wine, trying to get, investment. It was definitely hard. And then when we were building this winery, it was amid the worst fires in Napa's history. Jake, who I mentioned, he was literally there with his wife, hosing down the property, just hoping an ember wouldn't take it all down. And then we opened our doors in the middle of a pandemic. So our timing has never been worse, but we feel like that, that toy that you punch it just pops right back up. I kind of feel like that sometimes. We've been through a lot, but man, I'm sure everybody listening, everybody's been through a lot in the past decade plus. So
yeah, open up in the middle of
But that's why we drink wine. That's why we're in the wine industry, Ron. It makes it all a little easier.
Keep on doing. Sounds like a great company. Before we go any more into the company, I want to talk about you and your accomplishments. When I was first contacted by Katrina, she sent me a little thing about you and said that you have earned all sorts of accolades and received different awards and stuff like that. Brag about yourself for a little bit for us. Tell us about the different things that you've won and what they mean.
Well, I don't like this. It's awkward.
I know you don't. Nobody does. Yeah,
well, the hardest thing, my biggest claim to fame is being a mom, and I don't even as I'm talking to you right now, I'm waiting in the volleyball parking lot because that's my PM job is I'm my kids Uber. I just drive them to all the things. So that's my number one accomplishment is just being a mom and trying to make it all happen. But I have two awesome daughters. 2 daughters. I have salty and sweet. I kind of joke like they're yin and yang. They're so different, but I love it so much. I've got I have a 12-year-old daughter and then one that just turned 10. And yesterday we had an all-school assembly at our school for Veterans Day, and she sang the national anthem in front of 1,000+ people. I'm so proud of her.
Wow.
I know. See, I'm bragging.
Yeah.
This is what moms do when they say brag about yourself. You just start bragging about your kids. But but yeah, no, I've gotten some awards here locally just because I'm pretty active in my community. I owe so much to who I am to my K through 12 education. I went to U of A, which I'm very proud to be a Wildcat, and they're so good about contacting me about join the alumni association and give back. But I think my public school K through 12 years here growing up gave so much to me, and so I'm on the Scottsdale Unified School District Foundation Board, and we do a lot of cool stuff there. So I think just through charity work locally and doing some incredible things with One Hope. A couple years ago with One Hope, one of the coolest things I've gotten to do in terms of giving back and actually getting to not just write the checks but go and do something. I went to a really small remote village in Colombia, South America, with 9 other people from our team at One Hope. And we funded this project in partnership with the Give Power Foundation. But we funded an 8-panel solar unit in this very remote village that doesn't have electricity. And we built it, and it was really, really hard. It took us a whole week. We built it. We lived in, a hut with no running water, electricity, slept in what they call chinchorros, which is essentially this beautiful hammock that is made by the local women there. And we built this 8-panel solar unit, and it was so cool because there was this lighting ceremony where the whole village gathers. It's pitch dark at night because there's no, people have flashlights and whatnot, but that's it. And we counted down, tres, dos, uno, and then turned the lights on, and it was this magical moment. And it's so cool because these kids now at the local school there can get, laptops and television and access to educational resources that they never would have had before. So that was one of the neatest moments I've ever experienced, and very, very eye-opening to go to places like that when you kind of get, even right now, a lot of America, and I'm not going to get political, I know a lot of people are down right now because the election didn't go their way, but we still live in this incredible country, and I'm so grateful for all the luxuries that we have. But it was amazing going to this small village with people that didn't have running water and even shoes to wear on their feet, and they were still so happy, So I don't know. That was an awesome moment. I'm so grateful that One Hope was able to gift me that.
You don't think about what goes on in other countries. We live in such a great country here that we're sort of shielded from some of the countries and some of the areas that people do live in that are like that. And it's good to contribute to it and help, bring them, things that we take for granted.
Exactly. And we're certainly not perfect, but we are so blessed. Yeah.
We really are. As a country, we really are. I have to ask, and you've told me about your kids. How did you meet your husband? Was that part of your wine ventures, or?
Yeah, I kind of do have One Hope to thank for it because he grew up in a really small town in Middle Pennsylvania, and then he joined the military to help pay for school. Everything was peaceful in the world. 9/11 happened. He did get deployed. He spent a year in Iraq, but it was the greatest experience he had. He jokes that I never would have given him a chance if he didn't go to have his experience in the Army. But so when he came back, he graduated. He moved to San Diego without knowing anybody, having a job lined up. He met some guys, slept on his couch for a couple weeks. He found a job, everything. he just really wanted to live in San Diego. So he was there for about, like, I don't know, a few months, and he was complaining to his friend that it was really hard to meet girls in San Diego. And his friend's like, well, that's just because you're going to the wrong spots. Like, you're not going to meet them down at, you know, Pacific Beach bars and stuff. He said, I'm going to take you to a classy charity event tonight, and I guarantee you're going to meet somebody nice. So that's where I met him, because One Hope, we donated a couple cases to this charity event at, it was at a private home in La Jolla, this, like, gorgeous home. And it was kind of one of those, it's like a party that you go to where you're like, who are these people? I couldn't quite pinpoint it. And so I met him, funny enough, waiting in line to use the bathroom, because it was at, you know, a private home. So there's just like a line of men and women just waiting to use the restroom. And I thought, man, this guy's like really normal in the best of ways, because everyone else here is like, I can't figure out this crowd, but this guy's really normal in a good way. And that's how we met. And that was right before I moved to Arizona to open up Arizona distribution. And so I was like, not thinking, I was like, oh, I'm moving. It's a bummer, because he's a nice guy. But we just kept in touch. And then I convinced him to leave sunny San Diego and come to 115-degree Phoenix, Arizona.
Sunny
yeah. And he reminds me about it every summer. He's like, so why did you leave San Diego? But that's how I met him.
Oh, so you live in Phoenix now, then?
Yeah. Yeah. Scottsdale. Yeah, suburb of Phoenix.
Oh, Scottsdale.
Yeah, that's where I live. Yep. So I'm really, I think it took leaving Arizona for me to realize how much I really do love and appreciate it. It is hot and it's miserable during that, you know, the peak of summer, but it is, we have just such gorgeous weather 8 months of the year, and my family's out here. I'm a big sunset person, so some of the most beautiful sunsets and great hiking. I love Scottsdale.
Yeah, my son was living in Tucson for a while, so I got to visit him a couple of times. And yeah, it's beautiful country. I've been through Arizona quite a few times, but it is beautiful country there, without question. And it is hot there.
Yeah.
In the
but
summer.
It's a dry heat, as we say. And the dry heat thing is very true, because when I was July, and we left here in July, we went to visit my husband's family in Pennsylvania, and it was like 110 here in Phoenix, and it was 92 maybe with humidity in Pennsylvania, and it felt worse in Pennsylvania than it did at 110 in Phoenix. So there definitely is something there.
My son used to always say, but it's a dry heat. And I used to always tell him, but they cook cakes in an oven with dry heat. So, you know, I mean,
it is true. You could probably cook a cake outside in your backyard in the peak of summer here.
Yeah, probably could. Yeah. And Tucson was even worse. It's south of you there. You've been to the wineries there in Arizona. I mean, are they any Arizona winery part of your portfolio, since they have such fantastic wines there?
I want them to be. That's what's. I mean, there's wineries popping up in many different places, and there's definitely some great wineries in Arizona. And it's. I love tasting local wines, no matter where I am. I love that wineries are popping up more and more. I mean, of course, you know, their hang time isn't nearly as long because it is so hot here, but there's some great wineries in northern Arizona, kind of near Sedona and stuff. And Sedona's so gorgeous. That's such a fun trip to do. And there's some awesome wineries down in southern Arizona as well. As a matter of fact, it's so cool. It's very coincidental, but my daughter's volleyball coach is a winemaker and has her own wine brand. And it's so
wow.
Really? Yeah, and what's so rad about her is she does it all herself. Like I just get the bottle and I go out and I sell it, you know, and we are part of like marketing and label production, but like she does the entire thing from beginning to end, which is so cool. So maybe you can have her on your show one day.
I would love to have her on the show.
Yeah.
You know, but she has quite an interesting story about doing that. And then taking time off to coach volleyball. Wow, Yeah,
it's called Vino Stash Winery. Her name is Brooke. It's very cool. So she's a mom of two, and she was a college volleyball player. Now she coaches, and she has her own wine brand. It's pretty fascinating. So she'll always show me pictures of her down working harvest, and you know her hands all torn up and everything. I'm just like, man, Brooke, you are awesome. She's Superwoman.
Yeah, I said. So again, her name?
Her name is Brooke Eyed, and the brand is called Vino Stash. And it's really cool because like a mustache, and every label is like a dedication to a certain family member too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Her last name is.
It's Eyed, I-D-E, Brooke Eyed.
Oh, well, that's easy.
And
I
yeah,
thought it was.
Vino Stash, S-T-A-C-H-E, and the wines are phenomenal too.
Okay, I will definitely look it up and send an email out to her.
Yeah.
See if we can't get her on the show. That's may I drop your name that you recommended to her?
Oh, absolutely. And and you can tell her she's the best volleyball coach ever. Anyone that can coach a group of 11 and 12-year-old girls is my hero.
Yeah, I used to coach boys basketball all the time. My son was growing up. I coached boys basketball teams, and that's a fun group. I'll tell you, that's 11, 12-year-olds, boys or girls. That is a fun group because they're willing to learn, and they're still just a little bit awkward, and it's fun.
Yeah, and you learn so much about yourself when you coach too.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's like anyone that's listening, if you have a chance to volunteer coach your kids' team, not only, there's definitely challenging times especially when your kid's on the team, but it's such a special time too. You learn so much about yourself. It's a special bond that you and your kids will always have. And I love it too, especially because I coached my daughter's like rec team before she got to this club level with Brooke. But I love it because you get to hear all the gossip too. Because my daughter never would tell me, but when I drove all the girls, I hear them all talking things. I'm like, okay, so now I'm hearing what's going on at school and stuff. So yeah.
And it plants a seed in them too, because now my son has my granddaughters, 2 granddaughters and grandson, and he and his wife coach them. His wife coaches granddaughters in volleyball, and my son helps coach son in soccer and in softball. So
that's great.
Plants a seed in them, and it just keeps going.
Absolutely.
Too. So,
they keep the tradition. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing to do. And again, it's back to the charity there of donating. So you're able to ship all over the country now, or are you? Yeah,
still we do. Really we ship to 46 states, which is awesome.
Wow!
And we do a lot of corporate gifting too, since there's so many businesses that want to give wines that give back, and so. We started to do some neat things. We have an in-house etching machines. We have a lot of fun, like etching onto wood boxes. Even there's this product we sell called our shimmer bottle. I should have talked about that with our portfolio. That product's really fun. We have it in gold, silver, and pink. And how that all came about was there was a girl that worked for us that made these hand-painted glitter bottles. Like she would literally get a bottle of sparkling, paint glitter onto it, and then paint glue and then pack the glitter onto it. And she gave that for like out-of-town guests coming to her wedding. And we're like, oh my gosh, that bottle looks beautiful. We should try to sell it. And so we put it on our website, and man, we just could not keep those things in stock. Meanwhile, we're just making these glitter, but it's like a craft section of our warehouse. And then we would have to shrink wrap them to ship them just because glitter would get everywhere. And so it was like, man, how can we mass produce these and like make it more durable? And so through a lot of R&D, we figured out a way with this specialty glass, and we have what's called our shimmer bottle. So it's like a beautiful coating of shimmer in gold, silver, or pink. The pink is our sparkling rosé. But they're really, really fun and festive. You can put it in a nice bucket, and none of it comes off. It's waterproof. But we do etching onto that bottle, too. So, like, for the holidays, we have really fun bottles that say, Happy Holidays and Happy New Year, all those things on those shimmer bottles.
Oh, fantastic. Is there discounts on case purchases when you order online?
Yes, absolutely. So, for first-time customers on 6+ bottles, you can use Save 10 as a 10% off. And then we've got a really great wine club, just because people love to give back to their favorite cause with every purchase. So, for our wine club, you can save 10% off any 6+ bottle purchase, 20% off 12 bottles.
Wow.
You can get free shipping as well, which is really great, and free shipping on any $99+ order too. So you might want to send a gift to a family member. As long as it's over $99, you get free shipping. We know it costs a fortune to ship wine, so to be able to still do free shipping, I know that's where consumers' minds always go. What can I do to get free shipping? But it's cool because with our wine club, these quarterly shipments that we send out, it really does start to add up to your cause of choice too. So 10% of every order, and we track that for the customer too. It's really great in your profile. You'll see to date you have raised $42 for the
Really?
South Unified School District Foundation. It shows you what your impact to date is, which is great.
That's for wine club members.
Yep, for wine club customers.
Okay, yeah. Well, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Do you how many? I want to ask how many cases you do, but you get from different wineries, or are you just producing out of your Napa location now?
Yeah, so we do both. So our iconic wines, right off the property there, the Estate, Fumé Blanc, Sauv Blanc, Cabernet, pretty minimal production there. We just do like a little over a couple thousand cases. But then we do source. We do have some growing contracts throughout Napa. So we have like a Russian River Pinot Noir. What's so great about having our own winery is we had a winemaker one time say you can catch lightning in a bottle. So because we have the winery and the winemaking equipment, everything, we can, when it's the perfect, most optimal time to pick the grapes, we can pick the grapes and start the wine production right away. We don't have to worry about scheduling and using somebody else's facility for that. But then we have, as I mentioned, our large, vineyard collection, California wines. We do, several, all together, we have a annual production of over 100,000 cases. So we have everything from something really small, like our estate wines, where it's just a few hundred cases produced, up to, some of our larger production wines too, and everything in between.
What and how many acres do you have on the property there? You just said it was a 10 acre plot.
10-acre property. About half of it is planted, so 5 acres there. It was really fun because we did do a kind of a replant because some of the vines were a little bit damaged when we bought the property, so we did replant it, and it was really fun because we all brought all of our families up. So all my fellow co-founders, they're all my age. So we've all grown up together. They're like brothers and sisters to me, and so it's really special that we all kind of got married around the same time, and our kids are around the same age. So when we all get there together, it's like this awesome family that we have. But it was really fun because we all got to replant some vines together, and that was about 4 years ago. And so this upcoming harvest, it's actually like the first year that we're able to make some wine off of the Cabernet vines that we replanted, which will be really special and fun to taste. So, but our property there, it's a really intimate, special property. The tasting room, obviously I'm very biased, but I think it's the most beautiful place in all of Napa Valley. We are kind of the new kids on the block. There's a lot of wineries in Napa. There's some incredible history, as you know. There is some tech giants, billionaires, people, that are able to like buy a winery and do that. That's not us. We literally like crowdfunded and like made this winery happen by the skin of our teeth. But we're these young kids that had a dream to change the world, and we still have a long ways to go. And everyone in the wine industry will agree it's a really hard industry, and every day and every week brings new challenges. But yeah, it's been really with giving back and making the world a better place has always been our North Star. That's just always kind of keep us rooted in purpose. And it's been really fun, the incredible people that we've met along the way, just like you here tonight. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And
thank you.
I'm a firm believer, just like I said, there's the bad people in the world get the microphone too much, and there's so many good people out there, and there's a lot of good out there for sure, and I've been lucky to find them through One Hope.
Is Mondavi still helping you?
Yes, he's still helping. Actually, I have a cool Mondavi story. I went up to the winery with my girls. They had like a Monday off of school in September a couple years ago, and I thought, you know what, like let's just go see the winery and see what's going on up there. And so on a whim, we flew up there and we went for a walk in the morning, and we came back, and Rob was there with his two sons, which are right around my daughter's age. And he uses our winemaking equipment sometime for some of his smaller production wines. So Rob Mondavi Jr. is there crushing some Rutledge and Vine Cabernet. And we have on our crush pad, we have a basketball hoop and pickleball courts and everything, just because, crush pads only use a few days of the year. And so we turn into that. So his sons are there shooting hoops, and I'm walking back with my daughters, and Rob's like, hey, you guys want to come over and make some wine with me? And of course, me and the girls are like, sure. So we walk over there, and because we start making the wine, then his sons are like, okay, well, maybe we'll hang out with Dad and make some wine too. And so it was just so cool. He's showing us like the yeast he's putting in there, and we were helping him press the grapes. And then he even got some fresh press Rutledge and Vine Cabernet juice, and got dry ice and made popsicles for the kids. Very expensive, fancy popsicles off of this fresh pressed grape juice. And I know, it was just a really cool memory. And I always tell the kids, and I'll hear the girls tell their friends like sometimes too, because you're in the grocery store, you see a Mondavi wine, and like, just that was a very famous winemaker, and a very cool experience that you gotta have, and you got to make wine with him. So their family's still involved. Incredible family. Again, going back, I don't know if we would have been able to make it through that like initial phase without having their name to back our brand.
Well,
it was really
a great
important.
Story there. That is a great story. Mike, do you have any questions or comments? Anything you'd like to say to Katrina here?
No,
or
just
Kristen.
Kristen, no, just enjoyed it. Interesting story, and wish you much success in the future for sure. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Same to you guys, and happy we're already there. Happy almost holidays. Hope you have a great holiday season.
Before you leave us, give us contact information, websites, and all that, so people can jump on it and start ordering wines.
Yeah, absolutely. So go to onehopewine.com is our website. As I mentioned, right when you go to our homepage, there's going to be a banner at the very top. It's going to say choose a nonprofit. 10% of your purchase goes back to that. So you can start searching. You can, whether it's, again, like your local food bank, animal shelter, anything, you search whatever you want. You can select that as your nonprofit. Enter Save 10. You can save 10% off your first 6+ bottle order. And that's the best place to buy our wine. You can follow us on social. We're really active on Instagram at One Hope. And just continue to interact with our brand. Tag us. We love to see and hear about what you think about our wines and the cause that you want to support. And if you go to Napa, you have to visit us. As I mentioned, we're right there in the heart of Napa, right off Highway 29. You can't miss us. If you're standing at Cake Bread, looking at west across the highway, we're right across the street there. We do a really beautiful food and wine experience there too. Our winery is by appointment only, so you just have to make a reservation. But we have an in-house chef that does seasonal pairings. It's our Wine and Bites. It's a really beautiful, incredible experience. So, have to come visit us in Napa as well.
You mentioned the banner of the charities. If someone has a favorite charity local that is not on your list, can they name that?
Yeah, and it should be local because we just pull from the IRS. Every registered 501c3, it's a massive list. That's how we pull it. So if for some reason you can't find it by name, you just search by the EIN number for your favorite charity, and it'll pop up, which is great. So that's what's so fun is you can support anything that matters most to you. Just as we mentioned earlier, like it's those small local nonprofits where every dollar really goes a long way.
That's so true, so very true. Kristen, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us tonight. Interesting and fascinating, a great concept, and I will definitely visit the next time I'm in Napa. So,
okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you for taking the time to join us, and best of luck to you.
Okay, thank you. You too. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye now. All right. Quite a concept there. That
Yep.
really a good thing. Good thing that that church, and like she says, there's all these charities out there. Really, any amount they love to get it. I noticed that when I was doing the tip jar, and any amount they were just happy to have it. There's always a need for any amount of money that comes into these charities. So,
yeah, definitely.
So good concept.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so we have, I forgot, don't even know what time it is, 8:05, 8:04 p.m. on the clock on this November
8:04.
7th. Yeah, 8:04. I don't know if you have anything to add, anything about next week or what we have going on here on the show.
Let me see.
The 14th.
Let me look it up real fast here. See what we have coming up on the 14th, November the 14th. Yeah, we should have Naked Wines. Lucy from Naked Wines should be our guest next week. I need to confirm, but people are pretty good about booking and staying with us. So, Naked Wines, find those in the stores and everything, all over the place. So we got them coming on next week. Lucy. So there you go. That's our guest. I'll send you the information so you can get it posted.
Get it plugged in. Okay.
But
sounds good.
Yeah.
So it is time to close the show down. We will be back next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time live, and it's Eastern Standard Time now. Did I get that correct? Because sometimes I don't know.
Eastern Standard.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, we changed the
That's
clocks.
true. You
Last
have a problem
Saturday.
with that for some reason.
Yeah, I do. By Saturday, it'll be back to Eastern Daylight Time. Who knows?
Who knows?
It's one of those weeks. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, be safe and have a great weekend and week ahead next week. And we'll talk to you all next Thursday. Thank you. Yeah, have a good one.
And thanks for listening. Be safe out there.
This concludes tonight's broadcast of All About Wine with your host, Ron. For show information, links to All About Wine on Twitter and Facebook, or to be a guest on this show, visit the show website at www.allaboutwinebtr.com. Archived shows are available for download on iTunes or on our show page at blogtalkradio.com/allaboutwine. Thank you for listening. Drink responsibly, and we'll see you next